And welcome one and all to our League Challenge, Gym Challenge here in Pico Rivera, California at Psycho Turtle. I'm Dennis Geisler, with me Arnie Wolf. This is an absolutely stacked day of events in Los Angeles, also around the world. Dortmund's happening, a bunch of cups in the Los Angeles area. But we are here for our League Challenge. 11 wonderful trainers here today.
Yes.
4 rounds of Swiss. And we're getting into the first one here with George Kaplan and Anthony Plasencia.
Now you're going to see George using that mono bug team that won an online tournament recently. It's Cleavor, Low Kicks, Volbeat, Araquanid, Venonat, and Volcarona. Anthony on the right going to be using kind of a 2-2 support team, as I like to call it. It's Annihilate, Grimmsnarl, Mousehold, Pelipper, Sinistra, and Archaludon. And this is interesting because this mono bug team got some traction. It did win a best of 3 tournament, did very well, and I am the biggest Low Kicks supporter. I will always love Low Kicks, and I'm so happy to see it back on stream.
I guess my question here for you, Arnie, how does this mono bug team match into this team that Anthony is running? Because it feels like the answer's kind of bad.
Yeah,
Pelipper's able to hit things, a lot of resistances, a lot of just not great one-on-one matchups, and if anything is matching up badly, like I think the Sinistcha isn't good in this matchup, but you could just not bring the Sinistcha.
Yeah, the thing here is it's really going to be Sun. Or removing the rain. We see stuff like Morning Sun, and we see stuff that kind of are sun adjacent, but we don't actually see anything to counter rain. And so
it's the Araquanid.
There is the Araquanid, which will help. Pelipper going to go ahead and protect here. Yeah, you don't want to take a hit from this Cleavor. Volbeat's an interesting because it's a Prankster Tailwind Mon. It's also got Tail Glow, which is a very unique move. We have not seen it in a while. It raises a special attack there.
Yeah.
And Grimmsnarl is just going to go for the Reflect instead. Try and negate the damage from Cleavor. I think your goal right now is to just plan your Terra at the right play, use it correctly, and that will be able to help. And then you've got to position yourself into where you can hit that Archaludon with a special attack. And even then, it's kind of tricky to... I mean, obviously, this team has won a tournament against rain teams, but I think you've got to really position yourself correctly. And in that case, I think that's bringing in the Volcarona and just using that at the right time.
As you can see on screen, this Volbeat is Tail Glow Baton Pass, which is a pretty fun setup. Can get the very nice Baton Pass, priority Baton Pass into, I guess, the one special attacker on this team, which is the Spec Volcarona.
And we're going to see a Tailwind from the Volbeat, and then Thunderwave onto the Cleavor. However, Cleavor should still be outspeeding this Pelipper if it is a faster Cleavor set. And it is. Goes for Rock Blast, trying to break the Pelipper there with... It is a Life Orb Pelipper, but it's good for Focus Edge Pelippers. But you do risk that only hitting 2 times. Weather Ball, Water type, and it is Stab boosted. That's going to be able to just absolutely one-hit KO the Cleavor.
That's what I'm saying. It's kind of a tough matchup. I get the idea behind the Rock Blast, because I think you would have needed to hit... Pelipper's just, Low
Kicks! Low Kicks! Let's go! Yes! Bring my Low Kicks back!
Oh, that's cool looking Low Kicks.
My favorite shiny of the entire generation, by far. But Low Kicks, this is an interesting set. When I played it, it was a bit different. You mainly run Sucker Punch. This Low Kicks does not have that, so you were kind of banking on the Tailwind support there. I do think a good idea is to just remove the Pelipper right away, go for a Baton Pass. And yeah, you got to target the Pelipper, but if you could get the Baton Pass, you've got a lot of options on Volcarona. Like I said, you've got Heat Wave if you're not in rain. You've got Bug Buzz, and that's about it. So like you have Bug and Fire, so you're kind of waiting for the rain and hoping that the plus now 4 on Volbeat that you can Baton Pass onto your Choice Specs Volcarona will be able to just get rid of the rain side, even through the Reflect and now Light Screen from the Grimmsnarl.
Not a lot of damage done there by the X-Scissor, and the unfortunate thing on top of that is it'll boost the defense. That Throat Chop would have been neutral against that Archaludon, but didn't end up getting much done. That's the problem here, especially with the Pelipper switched out. You're probably going to keep rain up this entire game if you are Anthony.
Yeah.
And it means that it'll be a bit of a struggle for George to get that big damage down out of the Volcarona, other than just by the only move that isn't a Fire-type move is Bug Buzz.
Yeah, one thing I kind of am disappointed we didn't get to see is the Venonat. Mainly just because I want to see Venonat on stream.
Venonat is awesome.
Also, it's got Sleep Powder. And your goal, I think, a good goal into this team is to just go for Sleep Powder and try and spore things while you can set up your Baton Pass on the Volbeat. And even though this is a +4 Volcarona, it's now Thunderwave, which is not good because generally, unless you're running literally max speed Timid Volcarona, good chance Archaludon's going to outspeed you. And it gets a free Electro Shot right now.
Ridiculously fast.
It is in very agile bridge.
Yeah. I think this Volcarona is actually max speed. Looking at the numbers on here. It's already taken a bunch of damage to that.
Yeah, not fun.
Yeah.
I think if you're...
That's the problem. Even if you get a hit off, what are you really doing to either of these Pokemon right now? Like, even with... I guess it is at +4. Or, excuse me, at +6. Like, maxed out special attack here, but...
It's still not a... Sinistcha going to recover that Archaludon back to full.
Yeah. Sinistcha is about to get destroyed. I get the feeling.
I have a feeling, too. Heat Wave is the move you gotta lock into if you're Volcarona, and the Terrifier makes sense. Because you just gotta deal extra damage through the rain. It's gonna
This feels like your only option at this point.
Yeah. I mean, it's gonna negate the rain damage, but it's more or less a +2 because of the rain damage, which is not really gonna be enough to knock out the Archaludon, especially after the Sinistcha. But I think the low kick Sword Stance is the right play. You just gotta set it up and hope that
you've got to find a win condition somewhere.
Exactly.
It feels like you're playing around very different styles here.
Yeah.
And that's pretty good damage against the Archaludon, all things considered. I don't know if it will end up being enough to win this game.
Does not look like it. But
just because, yeah, that Electro Shot's going to come out. If it's into the Volcarona, that is it for the Volcarona on this battle.
And I have a feeling, since Choice Specs is pretty safe attack right there.
Yep.
Don't have to risk it, protect, and it does pick up the kick. There is something good, which is the low kicks is at +2, and you do have one more mon in the back. It's the Volbeat. You can Helping Hand, I mean, and you can also reset Tailwind, and the rain stopped, but bad news with that is Pelipper's coming back out. I think this is a very interesting play, because...
Bright Powder? I didn't even...
Bright Powder, yeah.
That's so annoying.
It's a very interesting... Oh, we're going to see Grimmsnarl. I was going to say it's interesting because Pelipper can go ahead and also reset Tailwind, which is kind of your only condition to win here, but I think Volbeat's just got to set Tailwind, and then you click on... Yeah, it's a tough one, because you gotta really knock out or take a hit from one of the two, and Low Kicks is weak to Spirit Break, it's also weak to Body Press. And so both of those are on the field right now, and you do not want to take a hit from either one. That's why I like Sucker Punch, because you can do that, and it wouldn't really help you in this situation, but just being able having that priority is really useful. Yep. And I'm surprised we're seeing Helping Hand, because this Archaludon, I think, is going to outspeed, because the Tailwind expired. Oh no, okay, Tailwind's still on field.
Yeah. And it does pick up the KO with that X-Scissor there. I believe they were even on boosts there. Archaludon at +2 defense and the low kicks at +2 attack. Problem here is that Spirit Break coming out. Will it knock out the low kicks?
Yeah.
Indeed it will. That'll be the end for this battle, since Volbeat does not have an attacking move.
Anthony, nice pickup on that win right there. I think if you're George, you're like, you know what? I see what happened on this match. I really want a way to stop Archaludon. Because, you know, that +4 did a lot more damage than I thought it would do. Mm. And so I think, honestly, the right play is to go into Volbeat and Venonat and just try and Sleep Powder right away. You have Compound Eyes, which will help for the Sleep Powder. And then just try to Sleep Powder, then Tailwind, set up your... Baton Pass boosts on Volbeat, and then use the sleep turns to your advantage, then Baton Pass out and Rage Powder, and then that will be kind of, I think, the right play. The only issue with that strategy is you do have Sinistcha, which ignores Rage Powder, and Archaludon's Terra Grass. Good news, though, is if it tears to Grass, you're going to be able to use your Terrifier Volcarona even in the rain. It's going to now do enough damage to KO after 2 Baton Pass boosts, or 2 Tail Glow boosts. So I think that's the play I would make if I was George, and then I would just keep Cleaver or Low Kicks, definitely Volcarona in the back, but then like Cleaver or Low Kicks to round out the match. I don't know which one would work better, but that's what I think is the play.
Yeah, I definitely think that makes sense. I'm still curious to see this Araquanid, just because the fun of Terra Water, Water Bubble, Mystic Water, Araquanid liquidation in rain is really interesting.
It's actually not a bad call here, except that
it's
once
not
you Terra,
ideal.
It's not. You kind of have to use your Terra.
You have to use your Terra. It's resisted by a decent portion of this team. It means that, I mean, if you don't bring Volcarona, you don't have a special attacker, which means that Grimmsnarl has a pretty easy time just setting up Reflect and then sitting on you for the rest of the game.
Interesting picks here from George. Yeah, I think that the Araquanid's best bet. Like, the only thing with the Araquanid is you have to watch out for electro shots. But then when you actually look at the Pokemon on the field, you got Leech Life for Sinistcha. Liquidation's going to do a lot no matter what.
That is true.
So it's not actually a terrible pick if you have a way to handle Archaludon. So maybe the right play was to just go for Venonat Volbeat and then Volcarona in the back for the Baton Pass, and then clean up with Terra Water Araquanid, because once Volcarona removes the Archaludon, Araquanid doesn't have too much it has to worry about.
I was going to say, I like keeping it in the back in order to try to clean up the end game in some of these scenarios here. Get a Grimmsnarl and the Sinistcha. Lead for Anthony. We're getting to see that
Venonat!
alongside the Cleavor. I am so excited to see Venonat.
It's actually not a bad here for George. Gotta watch out for the Sinistcha. It's got quite a few tricky moves. Strength Sap and Life Dew and Trick Room. And not Rage Powder. So there you go with that. But Grimmsnarl going to set up that Reflect, just ignoring Cleavor's massive damage output here.
Yeah, definitely having that there.
Ooh.
Keeps the Sinistcha standing with that Reflect. Ooh, through the critical hit. Never mind.
And there's that berry. Gonna get the Sinistcha back up to half-ish. Still in the orange, though. And there's the Sleep Powder. So yeah, I think, like I said, you gotta take advantage of that Sleep Powder. That is the key here. And actually, some good news for the Venonat here is the only thing is Matcha Gotcha that you have to worry about. Trick Room isn't actually horrible for George because you've got that Araquanid in the back.
I was going to say, this is actually pretty dangerous for Anthony getting that Trick Room set up, given that the Araquanid we know is in the back. Grimmsnarl will take the first sleep turn there.
Not going to be able to set up a light screen. I'm curious if a light screen will even be set up.
There's no need to.
Not at the moment, but you may want to prep for that Volcarona late.
Matcha Gotcha?
Matcha Gotcha's going to do
Gets
very
the healing.
Now it's just on the cusp of 50%. And Toxic plus... I think Toxic plus Aerial Ace should be able to pick up the KO here. Aerial Ace...
Certainly close with the Reflect up.
This moves to 40%? Not quite, it looks like. Sinistcha can hang on.
Sinistcha will barely hang on here. We'll see. There is a Life Dew available for the Sinistcha if Anthony really wants to keep that,
Yeah.
What is Sinistcha? It's like a teacup thing?
Yeah.
I guess it's you make the matcha.
It's the green tea.
Green tea, yeah.
This is a pretty safe switch into to low kicks on the left, because you do really not want the Venonat in at the moment. You want to preserve it. Meanwhile...
Not only you don't want Venonat in, but it also doesn't do anything.
No,
I guess if you read this switch out, then
good
you could pick up...
Swap.
If George reads this, though, this could be a Sleep Powder into that Archaludon slot. But it's just going to be the switch out for the Venonat.
It was a 50-50. Like, I think it was, like, do you sacrifice the Sinistcha at low health, knowing it can't really do all that much, or do you just go for the swap out? Grimmsnarl stays asleep, which is going to at least help the low kicks not to take Spirit Break damage. And Aerial Ace raises that defense. This is now a tricky spot.
Yeah, certainly a tricky spot, and that's the problem is this Archaludon... Anthony's done a good job of switching the Archaludon into a very easy +1 stamina situation, and it's meant that George has had to take down this Archaludon with one special attacker in this battle, it's not even there, but one special attacker through a Reflect, through an extra stage, and that's really, really difficult.
Yeah. It is not fun to take down a +1 Archaludon.
And low kicks, I don't think, has the damage output to really get there. It's going to have to Swords Dance, I think, more than once.
At least twice.
And the Grimmsnarl is also going to be preserved a little bit here with the switch out there. Pelipper comes in, it'll be the Rain Duo.
And with that, you've also got Electroshot in play now. I do think the good news is you can go for a +1 Swords, or Swords Dance to get your +2, without, and hoping that the Cleavor was the one that was targeted, because Venonat's a bit tankier than you would expect. But look, we're going to see which one of this Electroshots hits. If it hits the Venonat, much better position. If it hits low kicks, it's probably gone.
Probably true. Here's the special attack boost.
Venonat.
It is the Venonat. With the Eviolite, we'll certainly take that hit.
Okay.
And low kicks gets the Sword Stance, so it is ready to keep fighting here.
It's not over. I think there's a pretty obvious play. If you're George, you have to make this play, which is Throat Chop Pelipper and Sleep Powder Archaludon, because you get one Sleep Powder our Chaladon's less likely. It could Terra, though. That's the only thing. And I think it's a pretty smart Terra. But you can't, you don't have another choice. Otherwise, it's just going to be able to, like, steamroll your team. Yeah.
We are still under Trick Room, and that will, I believe, expire after this turn.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. You gotta remove the Pelipper. But, I mean, our Chaladon, getting Grass doesn't really help it right now. I mean, you do lose the resist. I mean, you lose the Rock resist for Cleavor later in the game, and you have Aerial Ace, but it's +1. So it's not great.
And you'll be able to reset your Reflect if you need to.
Yeah.
Ooh. Went into the low kicks, not a miss on the Draco Meteor there.
Was the Sleep Powder Hurricane connect? Yes, the Sleep Powder would connect with our Chaladon. I mean, you didn't really have a choice. You had to stop it somehow.
Yeah, I agree with that. At the same time, it would have been nice to see it go into the Pelipper.
I mean, I guess
reading the play, I don't know. It was a tough play.
It was
altogether.
Yeah, because even if you just go for the hit, you lose your low kicks. You could Spore or Sleep Powder Pelipper, but then what? Like then this happens. Same situation, essentially.
I don't know. This matchup is pretty tough.
It is. I feel like a lack of a fighting move really hurts the bug-centric team, just because our Chaladon.
Heracross?
I wouldn't... Heracross. Mono bug. Heracross. X-Scissor does a good chunk of damage. It's also faster than the Archaladon.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think we're still in Trick Room. I think there's one more turn to Trick Room.
Stone Axe miss on the Pelipper! I'm a bit surprised we saw that on the Pelipper and not doubling down into the Archaladon, though.
I get what you are saying. I also think there's the crit. I get what you're saying, and that's where I was going with that, is X-Scissor crit might have been the only real out in that situation. Or at least what George thought might have been the only out. And this Electro Shot probably going to do pretty good damage into the Cleavor.
Definitely going to do
moving up to +2. We'll see if this leaves one lonely Archaladon, or excuse me, Araquanid, to try to face off everything else.
Just
another crit for Anthony.
Yeah, you know, I think that if you double targeted the Archaladon and it went down to Aerial Ace, this is where it would have been interesting, because your last Pokemon in the back are Grimmsnarl, it would be Pelipper, and then also Sinistral. And I feel like Terra Water Araquanid actually has a decent matchup into most of those. Can recover against the Sinistral, and then the only one would be the Pelipper with the Hurricanes, and then you'd have a Hurricane off, like versus Leech Life / Liquidation, probably Liquidation because it's the rain and it's water boosted with Terra Water, but still, like, you may need to recover a little bit. And I just think that at +2 right now, this Archaladon just has a free Electro Shot to the win on Anthony's side.
I definitely agree with that, and we will see if that is what Anthony decides to go for. Here's the Terra Water Araquanid that we all know and love.
It was a good call bringing the Araquanid in. I think a little different of a strategy would have helped it.
Hurricane comes through.
Oh, that does so much. And the confusion, just a boot.
The confuse.
That's the power of Life Orb Pelipper for you. And there's the Electro Shot.
And the Electro Shot should close out this one. We'll wait for it to become official.
So I think Anthony on his way to his first win of the day. And there it is.
Yep. Anthony with the 2-0 victory over the Monobug team. That's the thing. Sometimes with these fun teams, you get good matchups into some meta teams and really, really bad matchups into others. And I think that was a really tough matchup to work out of. I wonder if this team does need some kind of weather control. I know Volbeat gets Sunny Day. I don't know if that's necessary or if that is better than all the other options, but
I like Sunny Day on Volbeat, especially looking at the set. I feel like you kind of can replace Helping Hand with it, because you don't really use Helping Hand all that much, and Sunny Day to shut down rain and Electro Shots, really useful on this team. Still a bit of a trickier matchup, but it also helps boost the Volcarona.
That's what I was thinking as well, is that it boosts the Volcarona, and Venonat also has Morning Sun. Yeah. Like, there's a bunch of little things around the margins. Obviously, Araquanid would be bad in it, but little things around the margins.
Like Araquanid's still a good mon into this team. But
yeah, exactly.
Hopefully, we will see one of these players back here for Top Cut later. Anthony, like I said, needs to go, I think, 2-1 to have a shot here. If I'm not mistaken, all the 3 1s will get into Top Cut.
I believe you.
So I think it's because we had the challenge the other day, and it was 12 players, and it was 1-4-0, and then the rest were 3-1. So if you go 3-1, basically it's a win and end. So
I think we have 10 Masters.
Yes. So maybe 1-2-2 will sneak in. We'll see. Let's stick around. We got 5 more rounds, including the Top Cut, coming up later.